So that was some interesting fighting with. So how did it feel to get beat? I mean, that was a horrible reenactment of Braveheart, by the way.
Well, it was better than the Asylum version. That's all I gotta say.
All right, so this week saw the premiere of one of the biggest geek shows I think anybody's been waiting for, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I have such mixed feelings on this one.
How do you have mixed feelings on the show?
Is it a surprise to anyone that I have mixed feelings on a new TV show?
Is the feelings between good and excitement? Because that's the only mixture I will allow.
I think she's going more towards the meh.
I am actually going a little bit more towards the meh. The things that I like that they set up, I like the mystery behind how Coulson has been resurrected, which I like the whole, he can never know. So theories are already going crazy with that. I was not a big fan of Fitzsimmons. I just don't like characters talking over one another nonstop, and I feel like that style of character's been overdone.
Like what?
Hello,
it's
Kettle.
funny when we do it.
I had zero problems with the show because I thought they were going to do Freak of the Week, like all these other places do.
And they did.
But kind of, but
Yeah, they did.
It was a setup for the bigger picture.
I also like the only people of color in there were like the guy that has one line that was also in Firefly, and the guy that's a bad guy again. And this is something that mainstream science fiction shows are really, really weak with. Over on the Sci-Fi Channel, at least they've got some diversity.
Wait, isn't Sky Asian? Isn't Sky Asian?
Oh yes. Yeah. So I like the setup of it.
I like the fact that he's like, oh look, there were two people of color on the entire show.
I enjoyed the way they tied it into the movies, including Extremis. Mm-hmm. I like the setup that they had. And yeah, they will do the Freak of the Week, but it's going to be like Buffy, where you have the overall story arc where it all kind of ties in together.
And these are things I completely take for granted in science fiction television now because everything other than the main networks has been doing it for a while. I don't understand why that is deserving of praise when the actual script was kind of weak with introducing the characters.
It did kind of rush towards the characters. I will give you that much.
Really, you need to have a little bit of you need to build up towards having that emotional loyalty, and they were just like, no, this is your designated arc, this is who this person is going to be. I feel like after having watched that first episode, there will be a few surprises, but I now know everything I need to know about all these characters, and I don't actually like that.
Well, they don't have the time to literally explain it. It's a 1-hour TV show. We have to take some things for granted.
Excuse me, things like Defiance. Only get 10 hours with the whole thing. Gradually build up an arc. Makes the characters a little bit deeper each time. I don't think ABC's going to do that. That's not my gut feeling with the way that they're going.
I think they will because one, it's Josh Whedon producing and he's being part of the writing staff, and they have set up a lot of things. Like what made that girl go from a high-level agent apparently was like.
Melinda May is okay. The background characters are interesting. Melinda May was fascinating. Coulson is fascinating. I'm kind of curious about the Doctor because I saw him on Firefly. The actual main characters, the beefcake guy who's apparently going to be there, Jane, meh. The actual girl that was like, oh, I'm the super smart girl that's going to be the thin one that fights all the time, that they pulled out of the van.
I don't know.
Nothing about her was inspiring to me.
I liked the scientists.
Fitzsimmons?
Yeah, Fitzsimmons and
And again, that's where the background characters are what's really going to shine with this, but the characters that we're supposed to be getting involved with, the leads, were really boring.
I think you have to give them time to develop over time. I really think there's going to be a point of why it's being developed this way. They're not going to just jack it up. I mean, well, they could just jack it up. I mean, it is
it's ABC. Come on, it's not cable.
I think the thing is, though, if you got to remember, back when Buffy season 1 started, everyone's complaint about Willow was, wow, the victim. She's the victim. Every week she's going to be the victim.
And she was for quite a while.
She was for a while, but then he started building her up. She became a witch. She became evil.
Here's the thing. I've got higher expectations for TV now than I did then. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Cable TV has brought us some really good things as far as story arcs, very strong setups, and the networks are not doing as good a job at keeping up with that, in my opinion.
Oh, I totally agree.
Well, I think it's because network TV, it's really all about numbers and money, whereas cable
all
TV
is about numbers and money.
It's more about, like, Stars will give each season, no matter what, 2 seasons to find its footing. If it doesn't find its footing by then they cancel it, just like Magic City. Mm-hmm. However, that wouldn't have happened on, like, ABC. I think we're going to find great things come out of this show as it progresses through the season, and it's just going to get better and better.
I want it to. I honest to God, I want it to. I want it to be better than my first impression.
I did like
my first impression, believe it was everything I expected it to be. Of course, I just take a lot for
granted.
granted.
You've got really low expectations, dude.
Sometimes I do. I will not lie.
That's why I'm on the show with him.
Yeah,
because expectations.
I could be Sparkles will distract me, and I'll be, hey, that's entertaining, you know?
The one thing I did enjoy about the movie show was they didn't spend a lot what happened in New York. They treated everyone as the event of New York happened.
Yeah, I
If-
did like that. I agree.
I did like how they're like, all this stuff happened, now we're on to the action,
And
much
the
like
good
they did with the Avengers movie.
Yeah, well, the good thing about it being in what I'm going to call a post-mutant world, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, because
Yeah.
different people own different rights. I don't think we're ever going to see any X-Men and things
No.
like that with it because
No.
of who owns what. But they acknowledge it's a post-mutant world. They acknowledge that there are superheroes out there, that there are going to be people that spring up with powers, and they're like, oh, yeah, this happens now. And so getting that out of the way quickly instead of wasting an episode on it is
Yeah.
a good thing.
I think though that was funny. You said there was no mutants, except the name of the arms dealer in the beginning of the series was called Longshot, which is a mutant
I
from the
remember-
X-Men.
I remember.
That was
Yeah,
really
he came
funny
in
to me.
going, did y'all notice his name was Longshot? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, and he got to marry Dazzler in an alternate dimension with Mojo. So congratulations, Longshot.
Yeah,
The mullet,
maybe.
really, that's all I remember him for.
He just had a spiky hair in this one. I don't remember
Yeah,
much. Yeah.
that was just a name drop homage. There'll probably be someone named Kitty at some point. I think they're going to do a lot of that without actually.
Without like overtly doing it, like,
Yeah.
oh, some wall crawlers causing problems. You
Yeah,
know.
things like
They'll
that.
let you fill in the blanks, which I think the show would be a lot better if they could actually name drop things.
It is unfortunate, and I don't blame them for that at all. That is not a criticism of the show. That's just the way that modern rights work.
Yeah.
I think though that the fact that that you can't do mutants, there's so much more. You have Doc Strange. Marvel got back Daredevil. It'd be an awesome episode if they have to go to Hell's Kitchen to like go get like some
And deal with
guy, and they have to
Daredevil.
go deal with like Matt Murdock, the lawyer, and then they have to go deal with Daredevil. That would be an awesome 2-part episode.
Like, I think that's going to be the weakest part of this series is the fact that you can't use the real heroes.
I think that could actually. I agree, and yet I think that if they do it well, that could be the strength.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do it well because let's face it, S.H.I.E.L.D. deals with all of the superheroes. Like they're already dealing with the Avengers. Why don't we see Thor pop up every now and then?
Yeah.
That's the licensing issue.
There's already a lot of people guessing that Robert Downey Jr. is going to make a cameo in the season finale.
Probably, I would not doubt it because he lives that role.
Yeah.
He literally lives that role.
People are saying the same thing about Samuel L. Jackson popping up.
That would be awesome if Samuel L. Jackson could pop
Indeed.
up.
Indeed. So,
Do you
here's
have any
just a
theories
S.H.I.E.L.D.
on what?
I think
what
he
Coulson
is a
is?
clone.
I'm thinking. I know what I want him to be, but they don't have the mutant rights. I want him to be a Skrull impersonator. That's not going to happen. But I think he's an LMD, life model decoy.
I think what he is the one Avenger that a lot of people forget, and that is Vision. Vision was.
But here's the thing: if he is a life model decoy, he could introduce Vision for other things.
Right.
Because Vision's a robot.
Yeah.
I assume you don't know any of these things.
Well, the thing is, the original Vision was patterned after the brain patterns of Wonder Man. There's no Wonder Man because they can't have mutants.
Yeah.
So why not just make it Coulson, who was a guy who could fight everyone else and win? So why not just make it Coulson?
I would like that if they actually decided to go ahead and make Coulson Vision instead of make Coulson the inspiration for Vision. The problem with that, why I think they're not going to do it, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Because Vision and Scarlet Witch, not only do they end up hooking up, and I hate Scarlet Witch as a character, but that's a different thing, but they also have like their crazy magic baby at some point. Do you really want to get into any of that? I don't think so.
All right. So, what are you going to give it out of 5?
3.5.
Give it a,
For the premiere.
I give it a 4 just because he has laid a lot of cards on the table saying, I'm going to show you stuff later, but you're going to have to watch.
I agree with Pocky. I think I'm going to get a 4. So we'll totally revisit this at the end of the season.
Yes, we will.
See if Chris Rachel changed her mind, if I've changed my mind, or Pocky's changed his mind.
And see if any of us are right about our guesses.
Yeah.